The hands of could not defeat me. The sisters of fate could not hold me. And you will not see the end of this day. I will have my revenge!
The biggest question after completing Aemeath's main story is, can we save her? Or more importantly, is her fate sealed? In this video, I will be giving my response to that question and breaking down the clues she had left behind, including the importance of other external factors which would play a role in the joint operation of saving her. For short, what we need to learn first in this video. Now before I start explaining, like I had mentioned in many videos before, all of the statements and claims are all from the story itself, including other research parts I had done by hand. Anyways, let's get on with this. After looking back on the footage and relearning what they mean, let's do a quick recap of the story, and be warned of spoilers beyond, so click away and do the story and then watch this video. Anyways, I would like to divide the story into two parts. Number 1, solving the current issue and recapping our past steps, and number 2, the hidden agenda and the new issue. In the first half of the story, we had our first proper encounter with Aemeath in person. We came to understand her past life. For short, she was once a passionate and caring person before unfortunate death after trading it to become the Exostrator's true resonator. However, an enemy lurked that sought to steal this particular item known as the reactor core for its personal benefit, that is, of course, Sigillum, a thought to be corrupted void-contaminated mech that seeked harm upon Aemeath. Some, of course, other discoveries were, of course, reaching the surface and finding a fallen space station that laid waste from the Court of Savante.
Back in Mount Firmament, I saw characters like this. They belonged to the Court of Savante.
And learning to understand the investments, but enough about that. However, Aemeath was acting too suspiciously happy, like trying to hide another side of herself. That's when we arrived at the place where her parents were killed in a past Voidstorm incident.
I worked at several outposts back then. This one wasn't so lucky. The scan shows it was hit by a sudden Voidstorm surge. No survivors. So that's why I never saw them again.
And we learned that our past self treated her like an adopted daughter.
That's me.
Aemeath, have you been out terrorizing those snow fluff seals again? They scatter the moment they see you, and it won't be long before there isn't anyone left in the Frostlands to play with. Have you finished your lessons? You start school soon. Maybe spend less time gaming,
Which then we found out that we indeed saved her after her near death after falling into a void matter lake.
She fell. But we saved her.
Don't worry. Everything is okay now.
After our past self took her in and practically raised her as an adopted daughter, fast forwarding, we had come to realize Sigillum was just a manifestation of Aemeath's fears, worries, anger, and sadness. How that came to be was, during one of her travels through void space, was that she found a fragment of our frequency in which she kept.
I stumbled upon a faint frequency. Your frequency. I could feel your warmth in it. After so long without you, I couldn't let it go. I kept it with me.
However, her negative emotion and energy manifested into the frequency she had kept and created a byproduct which resulted in Sigillum.
That's when your frequency I'd been carrying with me, it was corrupted by the void matter. It was born from my mind. All my worries, my fears, everything I imagined you'd suffered.
But a particular rover that seeked to go home in only. In turn, we finally learned the truth about our past self and our goal, and we were sent from another world to fill a mission.
You once told me you'd come from a faraway place, that you were on Solaris to carry out a mission.
And finally making peace with our past self.
So, this is your choice. Is it worth it?
I know where I'm going. That's what matters.
Then keep going.
Peace.
No matter what.
And restoring the Exostrator core to its rightful place, and Aemeath is finally back to reality. Unfortunately, there was a hidden agenda she had kept from Rover. Brought on by her newfound responsibility of being the guardian of Lahairo, she had made the life-changing choice to set up past Exostrator and beyond to void space. Her ultimate goal to turn back time to stop Aleph 1 from entering Solaris.
It means I can use it to go back. Back to the very moment Aleph 1 descended.
In the end, she had sealed the gate, stopping Aleph 1 from entering, but was cut off from the rest from Solaris, only leaving a fragment of herself in Lahairo, her only ties left to the world she saved. Now we focus on the main question, the whole point of this video. Can she be saved? Yes, but it will not be easy. Let me explain further what I mean. Space exploration has not been attempted forever because of a global phenomenon, and that is the etheric sea, which was the reason exploration has been halted for years.
From that moment on, the universe locked its doors. We couldn't verify whether the sky above us was real or just a reflection.
Countless spacecraft were lost. Our space exploration programs were abandoned, and space became out of reach.
Thankfully, we already have major clues left behind and even one big one that can play a big role in saving her. What are these clues, you may be asking? Well, there are 5 clues. The Strider Gate, the Exostrider, the Etheric Sea, the broken space station, and what Aemeath left behind after her departure. Let's first break down one each at a time and explain their significance and their relation to the goal of saving her. Number 1, of course, the Strider Gate. Following what Luke had told us about the Strider Gate, it is basically the gateway to outer space and beyond, which he had mentioned.
The Strider Gate is a gateway to outer space. That, of course we want to open it. But to pass through, we must awaken the Exostrider and be prepared to face Aleph 1 head-on.
However, there was one key part that was not mentioned, and that of course was Aemeath had told us later on down the line, which was that the Strider Gate exclusively only opens during the peak of the Voidstorm season.
Every time the reactor drive ran its self-diagnostics during peak Voidstorm season, I have to make the jump now. During this peak season, while void space is still stable.
Which would tie into her original agenda, which was to return the core of the Exostrider, and in doing so, it would trigger the Voidstorm peak season, which would of course give her the window to pass through. Another point that Luke had mentioned that in order for anyone to pass the Strider Gate, that they would require an Exostrider.
But to pass through, we must awaken the Exostrider.
Similar to how you need a specific keycard to get into a specific room. Because the Exostrider was thought to be designed to only allow the Exostriders, which were the carriers of the Sentinels, to and exiting out of Solaris. To put into perspective, the Exostriders were like cargo ships, and what they were carrying, of course, were the Sentinels. And there was a gate that only opens to them specifically. Enter and of course exit out of Solaris, which was the Strider Gate. And speaking of Exostriders, let's move to the second clue, which was of course the most crucial one. Number 2, of course. The Exostrider. This is the second major clue that can support our goal of saving her. As the story continues on, we learn more about the importance of not only this Exostrider, but come to learn that there were more than one Exostrider.
That was when I realized that Exostriders were built to transport Sentinels through stars to deliver Sentinels to Solaris. Until, during one jump, the Threnodian Aleph 1 must have noticed them.
This particular Exostrider that was making its way to Solaris was ambushed by Aleph 1, which was carrying a Sentinel. Why did Aleph 1 chose to specifically attack this particular Exostrider is beyond my own comprehension. But back to referring to the first clue, and that is the Strider Gate. Luke had mentioned that in order for anyone to reach void space that they would need to require an Exostrider. I would make the assumption that the void space contained void matter, which was created by Aleph 1, and it is lethal. Why is this even relevant to the Exostrider? Is because it's the only thing that is resistant to void matter, aside from Aemeath. We would have to examine the Exostrider further and inspect it. Now moving on to the Etheric Sea. In order for the mission to be viable and possible, we have to deal with the problem of the Etheric Sea. According to what Luke said about the Etheric Sea, I feel like this guy should just be an astrologer, not a doctor at this point. Anyways, explained that in the past, Lahairoi did manage to reach the stars, but that was quick and halted and shelved until the appearance of the Etheric Sea appeared. In Aemeath's words, the universe had locked its doors, and I quote,
From that moment on, the universe locked its doors. We couldn't verify whether the sky above us was real or just a reflection.
it's like a planet-wide barrier preventing any space exploration by Lahairoi or the planet itself. Not much information is known about the Etheric Sea, except Rover had stated that she could have fallen from the Etheric Sea in the beginning, which is confirmed she did fall from the Etheric Sea. Furthermore, the first issue at hand is that we need to know is how do we pass through the Etheric Sea. Rover did come through the Etheric Sea, but how do we pass through it? We move on, of course, to the third clue, and that is of course the space station. This is the biggest clue, and it is the nearest thing we have with a formal solution. To further explain what I mean, we need to go back to, of course, when we first met Navora, of course a researcher from the Academy. She was out and about looking for crash debris in short terms, space equipment that fell from many years ago that crashed back to Solaris. We had just stumbled upon a space station which we learned was from the Court of Savante.
Back in Mount Firmament, I saw characters like this. They belonged to the Court of Savante.
Court of Savante Space Station. As for the Court of Savante's characters, let's just say I developed an interest in it. Under unique circumstances.
An ancient civilization that traveled space long before the mysterious lament, before the Etheric Sea existed and covered the planet. Why exactly is this the most important clue? It's because the space station holds loads of information that is waiting to be decoded and translated, which could aid us in our knowledge and our end goal. And another point that of course is interesting is that the space station contained a test tube of the sample of the Etheric Sea in a lab, which means that they were probably experimenting with it and how to find a solution to bypass it. Another piece of technology that was overlooked was of course the mass relay device, because looking back on the footage, footage, it is said that it is shared the same properties as the etheric sea droplets, and it can stabilize and punch through other sectors. This probably was just intended to help with the issue of going through the like in the story specifically.
This mass relay device shares the same origin as the droplets. It can stabilize them and also punch a corridor to other sectors.
We would need to pass through the etheric sea to get to the Stratogate. And now we move on to the final clue. This one is more speculative based, but also common sense wise oriented. The final clue: what Aemeath left behind after departure.
Don't be sad.
Now let's talk about why would she leave a piece of herself in Solaris while the other was in void space. Here's my response to that, like a token of twisted thank you, because after many years without Rover and finally reuniting with her, she had to return favor to Rover, which was she left a fragment of herself, because I strongly believe that if she carefully planned out this hidden fate she would succumb to, she probably knew that if Rover knew that she would have tried to stop her or prevent her from going forward with this plan. So in a way, it was like she is trying to tell Rover that I will be okay and don't be sad and a piece of me will live with you. She was so selfish. When Rover was still begging her not to do this, she was still trying to carry the entire burden all by herself. Like, if there was one thing I could ever just say to her, if you're going to be this heroic and selfish about trying to sacrifice your whole being, your whole self just to save Lahairoi, then just fully commit to it then. Like, why would you leave a piece of yourself behind? What, for Rover just to think that you're still here and kicking, but you really is not, though? Now, before I say it, this might be a very hot take, but I think Aemeath was psychologically tricking us. She was manipulating us into thinking, again, she was fine, but in reality, she really is not. To sort of, give us that false sense of, like, security. We should not come to think of it, it is more heartbreaking because she puts up this artificial version of herself to psychologically trick Rover into thinking she's happy and well. However, her little plan kind of got shot down immediately because we just realized that it was just only a fragment of herself that was left behind. And the final take about this clue is that I'm putting my guesses high for this one. But one day we will be sitting right beside her or visiting her and she mutters the pleas of course, help me, and that'll prompt our goal to save her even more. But like I said, as I did Cardathea's back in Septimon, it's a little bit too early to start discussing about this, but it is pretty good to get an idea of what's going to probably happen in the near future, because it's so hard to not point out, of course, the clues that were left behind during the last quest. But to answer your burning question, do I believe that Aemeath can be saved? Yes, she is going to be 100% going to be saved. Me, but even the community even agrees too. At some point, somewhere down the line, that we are going to save her at some point. Probably with the joint effort of everyone else we knew, and probably even some connections that we haven't even seen so far. Like example, creator that sent us from space into Solaris through the etheric sea for the first time in the game. You may see her, who knows? We might have to call in some favors. Like, a lot more things are coming into the future. This is right now all I know, and of what I'm compiling right now and just trying to make it a reasonable video. So hope you guys enjoyed the video.